So pyruvate has been oxidized. Part of it's fallen off. CO2 has been given off. We've attached acetyl coenzyme A to it, and now it's going to go into the matrix of the mitochondria. So the citric acid or Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix. Remember, you have an outer membrane, an inner membrane in your mitochondria, and then in here is the matrix. Okay, there are 8 steps to this cycle. It's a cycle because it's a cyclic reaction. Some of the last products are also the first reactants. And we're going to make sure we know the inputs, the outputs, the location, and a few of the principles involved, like redox reactions. We're not going to learn all 8 steps, okay? So first, a summary slide. This is a really good one to study because the detail I'm going to ask you on an exam will be a little more like this than the next one I'll show you. But here's the oxidation of pyruvate shown up here again, and the product here is acetyl coenzyme A. Coenzyme A falls off, and then this acetyl group, this 2-carbon group, enters into this reaction. 2 carbon dioxides are given off, 2 CO2s are given off, which is basically the same number that came in, right? 3 NADHs are going to be produced, so 3 of those electron carriers. 1 ATP is going to be made, and this is through substrate level phosphorylation. I misspelled that, but that's all right. All right, and 1 FADH2 is produced. FADH2 is another kind of electron carrier. Okay, it's another electron carrier that's going to bring electrons to the electron transport chain. So these are the major products for every acetyl-CoA coming in. Remember, there's 2 of these made for every glucose that we started with. Here is the cycle in greater detail. Each step is catalyzed by its own enzyme. Here's acetyl-CoA coming in. There's coenzyme A falling off. One of the last products of this reaction is a molecule known as oxalacetate, and it sticks to acetyl-CoA, well, the acetyl group, the acetyl-CoA, and it makes citrate. So this is why it's called the citric acid cycle. The first product of the reaction is citrate. And I'd like you to just note that these 2 carbons in the acetyl-CoA up here are red, and you can see them, you can follow them in this reaction here, okay? All right, so then we make isocitrate. You don't need to memorize that, but isocitrate is produced. NADH is given off, carbon dioxide is given off. That's these 2 carbon dioxides here and here are the last source of carbon dioxides that you breathe out. So now you know why you exhale is the processes in this lecture. This molecule continues to change. It's a pathway, right? A metabolic pathway. Several enzymes catalyzing several changes. Another NADH is given off. Here's where ATP is made. FADH2 is generated. Then we make malate. Malate is converted then to oxalacetate. So oxalacetate is a final product and a first reactant in the reaction. And the reason this is a cycle is that this oxalacetate is the last product and the first reactant in this reaction. And then another acetyl-CoA comes in and the whole process begins again. So this is in the matrix. And for each acetyl coenzyme A coming into this system, we're going to make 2 CO2s, 3 NADHs, an FADH2, an ATP, and an oxalacetate. The regeneration of oxalacetate, which is going to be a first input into the next cycle. Okay, so just to remind you, FADH2 is another one of those electron carriers. It's like a school bus that carries electrons. The next step that we'll talk about then will be the electron transport chain, and I'll make that into its own video.